program are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors. It's Monday night at 9 p.m. and time for Sex Talk with the Siegel Brothers. Dr. Ricky Siegel is a certified sex therapist, educator, and supervisor, and his brother Larry Siegel is a clinical sexologist and certified sexuality educator. The Siegel Brothers are here to answer all your questions about sex and sexuality, but we're unsure who to ask, including questions you didn't even know you had. They will also welcome guests from around the globe to talk about a wide variety of topics and issues within the fascinating world of sexuality. Thank you for joining us, and welcome to Sex Talk.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us for Sex Talk with the Siegel Brothers. My name is Dr. Richard Siegel. I'm a certified sex therapist and supervisor.
And I'm Larry Siegel, a clinical sexologist and certified sexuality educator.
And my awesome big brother, and part of our faculty at Modern Sex Therapy Institutes.
I love both of those things.
Yes. It's great. Good to see you again, my brother.
Yeah, same here. We had a nice little jaunt up in the Big Apple.
Yeah, but, you know, this is the agony and the ecstasy of our job, right? We get to go to New York and spend 10 hours with a group of wonderful people, just awash in sex positivity and open-mindedness and acceptance of the wonderful diversity of sex and sexuality, and then come home right back to the same frustrating crap.
Well, yeah, exactly.
With this poor sexual health, this nonsense, this everything we rave about all the time, this politicizing of sexuality, just the same old crap.
Well, we're going to continue this discussion. We're going to continue this.
Yes, I know we've been promising to get back into guests, but we still have some more ranting and raving to do.
That's right.
So we wanted another night.
So if you want to sort of help mitigate some of the ranting and join the conversation.
Our number here in the studio is 888-565-1470. We are on the radio in South Florida on 95.3 FM and 1470 AM.
And thanks for joining us on the radio, on WNN, iHeartRadio
Network. If you're joining
Network.
us on Facebook, hello, and thank you so much for joining us. And please
like and share.
Hit that like and share. Those like and share buttons. Clicks, clicks, clicks.
Yes.
Thank you very much. So, where do we even begin? Like everything we've been talking about for the past going on 2 years now. Wow, can you believe that? Since this beautiful thing fell in our laps. Like everything, what ends up coming around full circle is that all of the sexual health issues we talk about, all of the things that outrage us, the frustration of poor sexual health, comes right back down to men's issues.
Yeah.
And of all the granddaddy, the grandma of all issues that gets men especially rolling their eyes going, ugh, here we go again with women's issues, is abortion.
Yeah.
Right? Now, what is more obvious, what is more slap in the forehead obvious than who causes pregnancies?
Well, sure.
How do pregnancies, wanted, intended, or unwanted, or unintentional, how do they occur? How do all these years, decades, how have men gotten away with thinking that abortion is a women's issue?
Well, it's been that old saw.
Men are the reason for abortion.
Well, sure, but it's been that old, sort of thing that men have constantly put on women. It's like, well, you're the one that gets pregnant, so if you don't want to get pregnant, do something about it. Women have been held responsible.
Here for the fun part.
Right. Women have been held responsible for contraception pretty much across the board. We got condoms, but how many guys also slip off the condoms? Again, covertly without telling their partner. Men have always made abortion strictly about women, right? Except in a few cases where men have tried to sue women to prevent them from having abortions. But see, this is a great irony, that, again, it's not part of the issue, but I just want to point this out. There's great irony that men have been so avoidant of any real connection and responsibility when it comes to the issue of abortion, yet men are the ones that are restricting the hell out of it.
Of course. Yeah.
And this just...
At the risk of being crude, wrinkly old white guys mostly who probably haven't had sex since their kids were conceived, and they're angry and bitter, just like the.
But not all of them. Not all. Just to point out, because there were those that we had found out over the past couple of years that did impregnate their mistresses and forced them to have abortions,
right.
while they are passing draconian abortion laws.
And like with everything else that's been going on these past 2 years, they think that if they do it right out in the open, in plain sight, it's not evil and manipulative, and they make no bones about even trying to hide the fact that they know how stupid and ridiculous these proposed bills are that have been passed in Georgia and Alabama and Texas,
And Missouri,
Missouri, right?
Nebraska.
But the which was the newest one, Ohio,
Alabama.
right? Alabama, right? 6 weeks, or before a woman even knows she's pregnant.
And that was that's
It's
what most of them are
illegal.
doing right now, right? That they're basing it on this nonsense of fetal heartbeat. Right?
Right.
Aside from the fact that you're talking about what is nothing more than
this
a
is even
rudimentary
more
pump.
restrictive than that.
No, but this is the standard they're using. That
Right.
once a heartbeat can be determined, a woman cannot terminate the pregnancy. Now, and that's usually at about 6
why,
weeks.
right? They don't look at brain development. They think of the heart because that's where love is. And if the heart is beating, it's there's a loving
I mean,
soul.
that's the nonsense. But it's also, again, predicated on more incorrect information. Look at what these people have done to pretty much already ban late-term abortions, which are done exclusively
Right.
for health and safety reasons.
We talked about this just a
Right?
couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
How
but
many
these
times did Clinton
idiots-
say, "I'll sign it as long as you add this thing on the bottom, except in cases to save the life of the woman," when those were the only times those procedures were ever done.
That's
and
right.
there's no such medical terminology as partial birth abortion.
No, that's
it's
the
a late-term
emotional
abortion that
Right.
the antis renamed
Right.
for more emotional
Okay.
appeal.
Right. And again, and the way they paint, aside from the fact that what they've always done is take, and these people, again, let's be real. These are not rational people. I'm sorry. They spend their time going through dumpsters and medical waste receptacles looking for things that they can really pretend to be something else. Like there are a number of all of these anti-abortion people for many years, and some of them have been arrested, going through medical waste, stealing basically miscarried fetuses, which are again close to full term, dressing them up, cleaning them up, taking pictures, and pretending that this is an 8 or 12-week embryo, and this is what abortion
Do you remember?
does.
Somebody spent $5,000 to plaster a tractor trailer with images of supposedly aborted fetuses to drive around the country and freak people out. Like that'll do anything to
Right.
eliminate abortion. Remember that? What happened to one of our favorite brilliant, angry, and hopefully not drinking as hard comics, Doug Stanhope? He had that funny bit to turn the tables on and goes, "Oh, if that's a child, then then we're going to have you arrested for child pornography because you're driving around showing pictures
That's right, of a naked fetus.
naked children.
That's right.
You disgusting pervs." And why do these people have so much time to be out picketing and protesting when they should be at home taking care of all of those foster kids?
How about adopt a kid?
All those foster kids that they've adopted. Oh, wait, they haven't.
Right.
Right.
Right, because they're
So,
not. They don't care about
just-
children. They're fetally obsessed.
I saw a
They're
great...
misogynistic, and that's really all they care about. You
saw
know,
a
there's
great
nothing
meme
rational about it.
on Facebook today. Said, "Dear Republican men, you realize that you have billions of pre-born miracles in your testicles, and if
in your
any,
socks.
if any escape, you'll be involved in a murderous act. So maybe you should just take a hammer to them right now."
Ooh.
Right? It made the point.
Oof.
Right. Nobody, and I found this, I was talking about the conference in Toronto and how I could never get enough chances to hear two of our favorite friends and colleagues speak, Doug Braun Harvey and Mike Vigorito.
Oh yeah.
And this was a great one I had to write down that I believe Doug said it. The sex lives of men rarely get addressed until they harm someone. Now, unfortunately, the sex lives of men harm people way too often. every
Right.
single day. So of course, you know that their whole approach to treating so-called out of control or felt to be out of control sexual behavior is based on this sexual health definition from the World Health Organization.
Right.
Like, yeah, there's a lefty liberal organization there for you, right? The World Health Organization. These simple principles, we talk about them all the time. Mutuality,
Yeah.
that two people are equally involved and willing to express sexuality together.
Right. And let me just say,
Honesty.
even when there's these imbalances in power, that's kind of what they're doing, it's still absolutely mutual and consensual.
And it's honest.
Right.
And then that, of course, goes into consent. And that leads me, I have to talk about what I'm very, very disappointed in reading this week. Protection. So, and I'll add on that the obligation and responsibility of men to protect people they're having sex with and look out for their well-being. And if it's a woman, his role in the prevention of an unintended pregnancy, and regardless of who it is, his role in the prevention of the transmission or acquisition of some kind of infection.
Exactly.
Consent issues around age and viewing habits online, all of this falls to men.
Right. And by the way, again, for men, I think we've said this before, but we definitely have to keep repeating this. For men, getting somebody to give in is not
Yeah.
consent.
Yeah, absolutely. Every guy.
Acquiescence is not consent.
God, yeah. Every guy in the world knows that fine is not enthusiastic consent, and the nudgers, not nudge like an elbow nudge, but nudge like in a Yiddish sense, like
a PIA.
pester. Yeah, just the come on.
Well, that's exactly,
Right.
that's the
Let me
coercion.
just put in a little.
Right?
And
That's
then he gets,
coercion.
Fine.
Right.
And think, oh, well, I got consent. No, you didn't.
Right. You wore them down.
You wore someone down. Pleasure is part of the World Health Organization definition of sexuality and the right to derive pleasure from sexuality.
But I'm sorry,
unlike,
sex and pleasure?
Yeah.
They actually go
unlike-
together?
Unlike American definitions.
Wow.
And, of course, refraining from exploitation. So their whole pitch, based in the sexual health model, what's one's vision of sexual health, makes it about ethics, personal ethics, and not about behaviors. As
Well,
they
that's
say,
what it should
it's
be.
not an act-centered thing. Now, obviously, if an act is the result, or the act leads to an unintended result, like pregnancy, especially if these laws are so absurd that if an 11-year-old is impregnated from a rape, they say, oh, sorry,
bad.
it's a miracle. God had a reason for that baby, even under these circumstances. And like I said before, they're making no bones about the fact that they know these laws are DOA, except that they'll be appealed, and they're going to try and get in front of the Supreme Court.
That's
now
the
that
competition.
They have their frat boy and Gorsuch
Right. And
as
that's
swinging towards.
And
the
that's really what
conservative.
all this is. It's a competition to see who is going to be
Right.
the case to overturn
Even
Roe versus
I had
Wade.
a flashback. The other Pat, right? Remember 20 years ago we were freaking out that we were agreeing with Pat Buchanan.
Oh,
That in the
yeah,
2000
that
election,
had to be one of the
he
horsemen of the
was-
apocalypse.
He was the only one making sense. Well, this time it's Pat Robertson, who's come out and
Oh,
said
say it ain't
that,
so.
that this law has gone too far, and if we want to go to the Supreme Court, this is not the case to do it because it goes too far. Pat Robertson said
Sure.
that.
Well,
right?
but I don't
It's-
think I don't think that's really something to be lauded.
But-
He understands that the
Right.
fact that you have the
That no matter what
criminality,
the law-
it'll never
Yeah.
get to the Supreme Court.
Yeah, even Trump said, "Oh no, we're not looking to criminalize women, just the abortionists." And the stupidity of locking someone up for 99 years for attempting.
No, 10 to 99 in some of them. I know it's absolutely insane. It really is.
Yeah.
And I find it.
And back to what you were talking about before, of course, the part of the mission of Planned Parenthood for all the years it's existed and all the almost 30 years we've been affiliated in one way or another, longer now.
Yeah.
Right? The issue is not getting rid of abortion. And certainly the attempts at getting rid of abortion, like talking fetuses, quoting scripture on billboards on the highway, or these trucks driving around
Right.
with pictures of dismembered fetuses, or ridiculous laws like this, do not make abortion go away.
No, of
Our
course not.
goal, our shared goal, left, right, liberal, conservative, is to eliminate the need for abortion.
That's the thing. That should be the common ground.
That
Not
has to
make
be
it illegal,
emphasized.
make it less
It's not
necessary.
exactly. It's not about
But-
abortion.
but
It's
again-
about the tremendous need for, because of our poor sexual health and the tremendous, like we were talking about last week, the embarrassingly high unintended pregnancy rates in
Of
this
course,
country.
of
If we
course.
didn't have that, we wouldn't have the numbers of abortions we have. So the most anti-abortion, pro-life identified person, and there's a well-crafted choice of
Oh,
words
yeah.
right there.
Oh, yeah.
Right? How do you argue with someone who calls themselves pro-life
Right.
and not say I'm either anti-life or pro-death?
Right.
That's
exactly.
a semantic.
Or how do they? I'm sorry. How do they call themselves pro-life when they also support the death penalty?
Oh, we'll need another half
yeah,
hour.
I know, at
before
least.
we get into that one, and support dropping bombs on people,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
all kinds of very anti-life.
Exactly. So I'm
positions,
sorry.
right?
There's nothing rational about it. I think it's a kind of insanity, and we're in trouble when we try to approach something like this logically and rationally, because these are people that want no more abortion. They want no sexuality education. They want no availability or access to contraception.
And how ironic is it that sexuality education and contraception are the very things that prevent of the need
abortion.
for abortion?
Yeah.
Right. That's the craziness of all of it.
Well, the craziness is also just the fact that while the world seems to be moving ahead and evolving, we are going back to medieval ways of thinking. The United States
I
is moving
said on
backwards.
the show a couple weeks ago, why aren't women? We've wondered for all the years we've been in this work, why aren't women just pissed
Mm-hmm.
off all the time about these issues? And
Well, that's what I
well,
used to call.
now
That's what I
they
used to
are,
say about
right?
suicide.
Now, again, there's all these plans, all these marches, all this activism, which is a good thing, of course. But why is it, again, taking this for women to get pissed
Right,
off?
exactly.
Where are the men?
Where's the Million Man March for reproductive safety and reproducctive health?
Right.
Right?
Who
Where
has
are
the
men?
most to gain from women who are happy and not worried and not angry?
And not
Right.
charging them child support?
Oh, man. It's so easy. Like everything else, sexual health is a no-brainer. But
Well, it
we
should be.
are so insane.
Yes.
And we are so uncomfortable with sex that we make it this crazy thing that's
Well-
about politics or morality or
But
religion.
yeah, that's really what it is.
This
It's
every
so
sperm is
political
sacred.
because
Remember that
it's a
song
religious
from Monty Python?
movement, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But this again, that's really where all of that stuff falls apart. It is religious. This is all about no woman should be able to do anything to prevent a pregnancy or terminate a pregnancy, because if she's pregnant, that's God's will.
Yeah, meanwhile, none of these people have any issue whatsoever with these ridiculous fertility drugs that turn women's ovaries into Jiffy Pop popcorn.
Right.
And you have like, right, that Octomom with the parade of babies marching out. That's okay.
Right.
There's no objection to that. But try and prevent a pregnancy or terminate one.
I mean, we again, the nonsense that we
The
dealt with
torch and
several years
pitchfork
ago.
crowd stands
with-
outside your door.
But in Florida and in many places around the country passed these safe zones, these places where girls
The
that are
abandoned
underage
baby.
are allowed to go to a fire department or go to certain designated areas, and they can anonymously and legally dump a baby.
Well, drop it off. Please don't dump it in a dumpster. You can drop it off.
Well, that's
no
right, right.
questions asked, which is a lie anyway. They're gonna
Exactly,
try and get
of
as
course.
much
But why
information
is
as
that
possible.
okay? But doing anything to prevent that pregnancy from occurring in the first place is not okay.
One of these idiots, I forgot which one, said the reason, defending why their state's bill didn't need an exception for rape or incest is that women will just go run into the ER and claim they were raped. So, show me an arrest report before we'll let you get an abortion.
But again, before we run out of time, I want to get to that too. But again, if we're going to just sort of go back into the stupidity hit parade, how about the moron? I forgot what he's a congressman from, who's basically said a woman doesn't have to worry because her body will know
it
if
shuts all that
the
down
pregnancy
there. Yeah.
as a result
If it's-
of rape,
if
and
it's
the body
a
will take
real
care of
rape,
it.
her body just shuts all that down.
You know,
that was already 2012 when Romney was running or whatever.
But again,
my, how the
this is
time
the stuff
flies.
that really gets me so angry. It's not just that men are not involved the way they are. It's just that all of these really stupid men are too involved and unfortunately have the power to make these kinds of decisions.
Yeah.
And it seems like the more power they have, the stupider these men really are. And
Of course.
that to me, that is the biggest issue, the biggest thorn in this entire issue. Right? Men need to, I need my sign, STFU, and need to step back. We shouldn't have to be spending time ranting about this.
Yeah, on issues like this, though, why don't men ever step up?
Right.
Right? Why are
Right.
men not recognizing that they are primarily responsible for unintended pregnancy?
That's right. So it's another thing that men do need to step up and understand that preventing pregnancy, including reducing abortion, is a men's issue as well. Right? So we need to take more ownership of this.
Yeah. Now, this I found very, very sad when I read this week's issue of Time magazine.
Time magazine made you sad?
Yes, it did. Well, our beloved Ruth Westheimer made me sad. Something she said in this interview.
Uh-oh.
We've talked about Dr. Ruth. Everybody in the field loves Dr. Ruth. And for us personally, special love because before she was Ruth Westheimer, she was born Ruth Siegel.
That's
Same
right.
name as our moms.
And our mom loved meeting her and loved feeling tall.
We have a picture of all the two Ruth Siegels and the two Siegel boys. But this was a horrible answer she gave.
Uh-oh. So this was an interview in Time magazine.
The last page interview in Time magazine. Sex and Politics, the interviewer asked, Sex and Politics also meet in the public conversation on assault and consent. Has that changed anything about the way you see sex in America? And Dr. Ruth said, absolutely. I think some people took it to an extreme. I assume she's referring to the Me Too movement.
Okay.
Here it comes. You ready for this? I believe that two consenting people, if they are in bed naked with each other and about to have sex, no way can they say in the middle, I changed my mind. The interviewer,
this is Dr. Ruth?
Dr. Ruth said this. The interviewer said a lot of people...
You cannot change your mind.
The interviewer said a lot of people would disagree, and she said, I know. I'll tell you what I say to those people who disagree with me. Put it in big letters. I respect your opinion, period. I don't engage in big fights like this. My opinion cannot be changed.
Wow.
She's disappointed us.
Wow. That's
our
really
beloved Dr.
disappointing.
Ruth, that in the middle, once people are naked and in bed, that's it. But it's like if you put this quote up and said, who said this, Mike Tyson or Ruth Westheimer? Nobody would get it right.
Oh, wow. That's
Sorry, Iron
very
Mike.
disappointing.
Don't punch me in the face.
Very, very
Smash my
disappointing.
skull.
I can't believe that I would hear that from
Dr. Ruth.
From Dr. Ruth or any really evolved person that's been in this field for that long. That's one of the cornerstones of what we try to protect. Right? That we have the right to consent or
is an
assent.
ongoing part of an ongoing
we can
sexual
assent at any
encounter.
time.
Of course.
Wow.
I've told guys, even I don't care if you're with a prostitute that you've paid in advance, she has or he has the right to change their mind. And if you're a half an inch from penetration and proceed any further after someone says, no, please stop, I don't want to do this, you're a rapist.
That's the definition of rape.
Right? Period.
Right? So
What
consent cannot be withdrawn.
Of course it can.
That's kind of what she's saying.
She's saying
it's
you
a
can't.
timing thing.
Once you're naked in bed,
Yeah,
that's
she's
it.
saying that you can't. Once you
Once
give
you're
your
in the
consent
middle,
and you're doing it, you basically
no
have to see it
way
through.
can they say in the middle, I changed my mind.
Wow.
This is disappointing.
Oh, man. Dr. Ruth, I would love to have you come on this show and talk about
We'll
this.
try and we'll see if we can get her to do that. And
wow, that's kind of frightening.
yeah,
You know, it really is.
yeah.
Because I think it gives
And the other
It gives
thing
a
I wanted to-
pass to all the things we've been railing against.
Yeah, there was one more thing I wanted to bring up about Florida. The DMV is still selling those license plates, aren't they?
The Choose
The
Life.
Choose Life plates.
Yeah, I
we
think
have
so.
to double check, but I think they still are, even though every other state that had them stopped when they were challenged in the courts and shown to be unconstitutional. Florida has continued to, because when Jeb was governor, he insisted that the plates had nothing to do with abortion. They were to raise awareness for adoption.
Right.
Like, Choose Life is the rallying cry for adoption, don't you know? Right? Like white power used to be an advertising slogan for Ajax bleach. Try hanging a billboard now.
Right,
And say,
exactly.
what's everyone getting so upset about? I'm just trying to sell some bleach. Yeah, right? And Choose Life is not a signal to...
No.
Right? So the money from the sale of those Choose Life license plates, a lot of people don't know this, maybe even a lot of people who purchased them because of their tugging at the heartstrings belief, goes to fund these so-called crisis pregnancy centers,
Right.
which
that
are,
do basically nothing but lie
that's
to
right.
girls and women.
They are pretend clinics. They are designed to look like clinics, and they just have church volunteers
Right.
who do whatever it takes to convince
Well,
a
their
young,
job
a young
is to
woman
scare
or
these women out of any possibility of having an abortion. You know, remember years ago, and this is again a lot of this stuff is based on incorrect information. Remember years ago, one of the classic anti-abortion film, Silent Scream. They all of this kind of stuff. Let's get some facts going in here. Okay, first of
Absolutely.
all, one sense that we are not born with, it does not develop until after birth,
yeah.
is pain.
of course.
Right? Please, people, think about this. If a fetus could feel pain, if it wasn't so, first of all, neurotransmittically drugged, you look at how many more women would die in childbirth. There would be resistance.
I hate the sound of that music. Because it means we
okay.
got to shut up.
Yes.
But we will be here next Monday and every Monday for Sex Talk with the Siegel Brothers. Please join us and share
Yes.
tonight's rant and
Share
rave.
tonight and help your fellow American get a little bit smarter. Thank you for listening and watching.
Cheers.
You've been listening to Sex Talk with the Siegel Brothers. Join us every Monday night at 9 p.m. on WNN, 1470 AM and 95.3 FM. Or watch live streaming video at AMP2 TV Productions on Facebook, or look for the shows on YouTube. Thanks for tuning in, and we hope you'll join us again next week.